So, the average millennial, as you may have inquired from the title, does not care much for politics. And it's because we're dealing with real world events. Even deeper than that, even less complicated, politicians, they failed my generation. From housing, education, the economy, healthcare, everything. They failed, dropped the ball completely. You see, our parents told most of us that going to college was going to be enough to be successful. When we look at it, they didn't tell us about student loans, and they didn't tell us that we'd be competing with millions of other people for the same job. That was left out of the pitch. They didn't tell us how important it was to have a trade and being able to provide for your family. See, when our parents were in high school, they were able to get licensed for certain trades, and they didn't have to go to college. They could graduate high school and start making money almost immediately. They could have housing. They got approved by mortgages to have loans and stuff to get houses. They had adequate transportation, retirement. Some of our parents were members of the union. They had a pretty good setup, but for some reason, they pushed us to go the education route. And I am a product of that. I was the first member in my family to graduate college, and I must say it felt good at first, but looking back on it, I wish I knew so much more before I did that. I would have probably invested more in a trade instead of college, because I went to college, graduated Bachelor's of Science in Criminal Justice, and of course I'm interested in becoming an attorney, so I also started law school as well. And working towards your law degree is one thing, but think about the people who just are done with school. You just went to school 4 years. You think they're living a good life, a comfortable life? You think they have a wage that they can survive off of? The average millennial works 2 jobs. We work more than we sleep. We work more than we're at the home that we can't afford to pay for. On average, we're only making around, if you're lucky, $35,000 a year. I've done the math. If you don't have any debt, which about probably 95% of us do, you need at least $45,000 just to kind of live comfortably. We can't get houses because there just aren't any available. The houses that are available, we can't afford. You want to talk about gentrification? That happens when African American people live in an area, the value is low, and then you move in Caucasian people, and then the value increases. That sends a message. You're telling black people that they're not valuable. That's what gentrification is. Happens all the time. Definitely a political issue. Healthcare. Most people my age don't have health care because they have crappy jobs. Hard for you to get health care when you're working part-time at a job to survive. I didn't have health care until about 2 years ago. Well, at least I didn't have average health care until around 2 years ago. Before then, I had really crappy insurance because my parents had their own thing going on. I wasn't able to get on theirs, so I had to kind of fend for myself, which the average millennial does. And you find yourself out there drowning, so you can't go to the doctor because you can't afford to. You go to the doctor for a scraped knee, and they'll charge you $500. Imagine if you actually had something serious. That's why we hate politics. It's a game for wealthy people, in my opinion. It's a game for people who don't actually have to deal with what we're dealing with. We see people arguing back and forth, Democrats, Republicans, they're arguing about gun control, health care, corporations, but we don't care about any of that. We want a better life. We want opportunity. We want the chance to have a good life. And politics, they don't really talk about that much. At least not from what I see. We don't care about that. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't vote. We do realize that voting is important, and we do turn out to vote. A lot of millennials voted for Barack Obama. I know I did, first time voting. So it's not that it's not important for us to vote, but we just don't like the games that are played. Because to me, a politician is just a elected official who's just playing a game. They get their money and they go live their life and do what they want to do. They're supposed to care about their constituents and the people who elected them, but I don't really think they do. And I think a lot of us feel that way. So you see, we don't have time to like politics. We don't have time to invest in politics. We are trying to invest in ourselves and our families because it kind of sucks. So that's kind of why we don't too much rock with politics, and that's why politics doesn't rock with us. If you guys feel differently about this, let me know. But I haven't met one millennial that I've spoken with in my 26 years who actually is fond of politics. Even some political science majors, they don't like the shit. But that's all for today. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff.